من پارسال در جمع شما و سفرا گفتم صلح با ایران مادر همه صلح هاست، جنگ با ایران مادر همه جنگ هاست. باز هم تکرار میکنم، شما اگر امنیت میخواهید، اگر سربازان شما امنیت میخوان در منطقه، امنیت با امنیت، شما نمیتونید امنیت ما رو خدشه‌دار بکنید بعد در انتظار امنیت خودتون باشید. صلح در برابر صلح، نفت در برابر نفت. نمیشه شما نفت ما رو بگید من نمیذارم نفت شما صادر شه ولی من میخوام نفت اونجا صادر شه. خب نمیشه، نفت در برابر نفت. تو که فهمیدی که ما قدرتمندیم و حرفی که میزنیم قادر به عمل هستیم. امنیت در برابر امنیت، تنگه در برابر تنگه. نمیشه تنگه هرمز برای شما آزاد، تنگه جبل الطارق برای ما ناآزاد. این نمیشه.
Israel and the United States are developing together advanced weapons. We've just had, not that one, that one, really. Okay, there you have it. It's these Arrow 3 testing that we did in Alaska together with the United States, and we've had amazing success, amazing success. So we can intercept now at high altitudes, low altitudes, ballistic missiles, 3 hits, one after the other. This is very important for the defense of the United States. And this comes out of Israeli-American cooperation. So in the field of intelligence, in the field of defense, in the field of certain kinds of special weapons, Israel is the best partner of the United States.
اسرائیلی ها همون جایی که هستن بتونن امنیت خودشون حفظ کنن. فعلا نمیخواد به جای دیگر، گرچه اونا همیشه هر کجا بودن ناامنی آفریدن، کشتار آفریدن، تفرقه ایجاد کردن و اساساً تو منطقه بزرگ خاورمیانه عامل اصلی تفرقه و اختلاف و جنگ و تروریسم صهیونیست ها هستند. رژیم غاصب اسرائیل هست.
Шалом или шалом алейкум.
That is the Deputy Defense Minister of Azerbaijan, speaking in Hebrew. May seem random, but Israel and Azerbaijan have a strong strategic relationship involving oil export to Israel and weapons exports to Azerbaijan, amongst several other trade agreements. These ties are so warm that you meet Azeri military personnel greeting Israeli-based journalists with a shalom or hello.
To label it, I will tell you that our relations with Israel is exemplary.
A majority Muslim nation, an ally of Turkey and friend of Iran, and a friend of Israel.
Israel is helping Azerbaijan build its military technology sector. Our relationship is a strategic one. Israel's helping us build up our military strength. We value and respect Israel immensely.
Azerbaijan considers Israel one of its 4 strategic allies. Israel provided Azerbaijan with over $5 billion worth of military technology in recent years. The Deputy Defense Minister shared the laundry list of Israeli weapons in its arsenal, from the Iron Dome aerial defense system to attack drones that Azerbaijan used in a recent conflict against Armenia. But Israel provided more than the weapons themselves.
Israel helped us build our own drone factory and taught us how to use drones.
Also dispelling some rumors.
Iran can't interfere with what we buy around the world. not even from Israel. We have special relations with Israel that we strengthen and protect.
And for Israel, this relationship is important not only for having a Muslim majority state and ally, but also for its geographic location. Well, Israel and Azerbaijan have a very deep relationship. It involves agriculture, economy, and other issues. It also involves a strategic geopolitical place, and that being Azerbaijan's proximity to another neighbor, and that being Israel's arch nemesis in Iran. Now, where I am currently standing is no more than a football field away from the Iranian border. Over there in the distance, you can see Iranian territory, making their relationship all the more relevant.
أكيد كلفتنا شعبيا وكلفتنا على مستوى علاقاتنا مع دول الغرب، ولكن ربحت لبنان استقرار داخلي وخلتنا نحافظ على وحدتنا الوطنية، لأنه بالآخر حزب الله هو مكون أساسي بنتيجة الانتخابات، نواب ووزراء، هو منه مجموعة مسلحة أو حزبية، هو جزء من شعب بكامله موجود بكل فئات وطبقات الشعب. وما فينا انت اذا يلا واحد بحط حاله محلنا يعتبر انه تلت شعبه ارهابي بنتيجة الانتخابات. مشان هيك بالنسبة لنا نحن بدنا نكون عم ندافع عن لبنان من اي اعتداء خارج اسرائيل او ارهاب، وبدنا انه نحافظ على وحدتنا الوطنية ونشتغل تا ما يكون في هيدا الاعتبار يلي عم بيأذي لبنان بطبيعة الحال نتيجة العقوبات اللي عم تنفرض عليه. وما عندنا خيار بلبنان بدل هيك إلا الحرب الأهلية. لبنان حاجة الاستقرار فيه تيضل مساحة السلام والحوار والانفتاح وقبول الآخر وهيدا التسامح يلي نحن بحاجة له تنواجه الإرهاب. إلا إذا بدنا مطلوب نعمل بلبنان بؤرة إرهاب جديدة ينطلق منها لأوروبا ولكل العالم. ولبنان سياسته هي الابتعاد عن مشاكل المنطقة، ما فينا نعزل نفسنا عنها لأنه نحن الإرهاب فات لعنا، لأنه اللاجئ الفلسطيني فات لعنا بسبب الأزمة الفلسطينية العربية. إنما لبنان بده ما يتعاطى بمشاكل الآخرين تا الآخرين ما يتعاطوا بمشاكله هو، وعم يحمي نفسه ويساعد في حل الأزمات لا يسببها. لأنه إذا نحن فشلنا في لبنان ستنتقل الأزمة إلى أوروبا. لن يكون هناك إرهاب وتطرف في لبنان بمعزل عن انتقاله إلى أوروبا. نحن متواصلين، وباللي عم نعمله بلبنان عم نحمي أوروبا.
At Syrian territory, what do we know?
Yes, according to an official military source, at about 11:06 p.m. local time here in Syria, an enemy missile was detected by the Syrian air defenses coming from the side of the northern Lebanon. The enemy missile was targeting the town of Musyaf. However, according to the Syrian military source, Syrian air defenses were able to intercept that missile and destroy it in the air before it could reach its target in Musyaf city. Now, this is not the first time that Musyaf comes under attack. Of course, the Syrian army did not say that it was an Israeli attack. It just said that it's an enemy missile that tried to target Musyaf. However, this is an exact scenario of when Israel attacks Syria. It usually uses Lebanese airspace for attacking Syria, whether via its fighter jets or when it's attacked from another part. However, there is no claim of responsibility yet from the Israeli side. Israel does not actually comment always about the attacks it carries out against Syria, but throughout the unrest during the past 8 to 9 years, Israel attacked hundreds of missiles targeting Syrian territories. The Syrian army this time did not give any further detail or statement, but we're expecting that the Syrian Foreign Ministry would perhaps tomorrow send letters maybe to the United Nations Security Council, like it usually does when there's an Israeli strike or attack on Syria.
And Mohammed, do we know what exists there in Masyaf where Syria's enemies would want to target it? Are there government forces installations there?
Well, there's definitely some Syrian army bases over there, but several Israeli media outlets and reports referred previously the past couple of months that Syria is actually keeping the S-300 defense missile systems that it got from Russia over there in Masyaf. However, there is no confirmation, of course, about that. But since that we heard that from Israeli media, it seems that there is something important that Israel is trying to target and attack in that part of Syria.
The U.S. Department of Justice has applied to seize the Iranian oil tanker Grace 1. The British Overseas Territories Supreme Court was expected to announce the release of the vessel shortly. The decision's now been delayed until later on Thursday. The ship was seized off the coast of Gibraltar by British Royal Marines last month, with Iran accused of violating oil sanctions against Syria. It denied the allegations and labeled the seizure an act of piracy. Andrew Simmons is in Gibraltar. So what does all this mean, Andrew?
Well, Rochelle, it was just over half an hour ago I was in court and everyone was expecting the release of this oil tanker. Then dramatically, it has to be said, because the Attorney General, Michael Lamas, was quite ruffled. He told the judge that in the early hours of Thursday morning and late on Wednesday night, there had been contact with the Department of Justice in the US involving a document, involving requests, and a declaration that there will be, in these legal terms, a supplemental request of detention parallel to the existing detention. And so that really, through the judge, he said, well, that's just so short notice. That detention request will have to be proceeded with, processed as such.
With more on this, Saya, what can you tell us?
Yes, Gibraltar Supreme Court has just ordered the release of the Iranian tanker that the British territory detained in July, the Grace 1. Now, it's believed this decision by Gibraltar could prompt Tehran to free the British flag vessel it subsequently seized and actually help ease tensions in the Persian Gulf. Now, this decision comes last minute by the Gibraltar Supreme Court, despite a last-minute U.S. intervention. And a spokesperson for the Gibraltar government said that the U.S. Department of Justice applied to seize the tanker itself, forcing the court to delay its ruling by a few hours to consider the American allegations. But the status of the U.S. application is unclear. And back in July, the U.K. said the tanker was carrying 2 million barrels of oil to Syria in violation of European Union sanctions. Iran has denied the oil was headed to Syria, and British authorities said that they would release the tanker if Tehran could guarantee the cargo wouldn't be sent anywhere there. Iran, in fact, called the seizure an act of piracy and threatened to retaliate against the British in the Persian Gulf. And that was exactly what they did last month when Iranian naval forces raided and detained the British-flagged Steno Impero in the Strait of Hormuz. But now it's believed that Iran might return the British tanker as well.
Saya, what has been Iran's reaction to all of this latest news?
Well, the Gibraltar government had always said that they want to de-escalate the situation over the Grace 1. So when the request came by the U.S. to not release the vessel, it came as a surprise to everyone. So after Gibraltar announced today that it would release the Grace 1, Hamid Baidenajad, Iran's ambassador to the U.K., said in a tweet in Farsi, the United States, with its frantic last-minute efforts, sought to keep the oil tanker, the Grace 1, from being humiliated with the efforts of the past few days. All the preparations and technical arrangements for the oil tanker to move to the high seas have been provided, and the ship will soon leave the Gibraltar region. Of course, last week, the UK announced that it would soon join a US-led task force to protect merchant ships traveling through the key shipping route in the Strait of Hormuz. But this was an Iranian tanker being held. So I imagine that the Iranians weren't too happy about this. But now I imagine the tables have turned and the US might not be too happy about this right now. And of course, the U.S. has embarked on a campaign to isolate Iran, imposing harsh sanctions on its economy and aggressively targeting Iranian oil exports. So this was a perfect example. Manila, back to you.
Let's bring in Rami Khouri. He's a senior fellow and a professor who's followed what's going on across the Middle East, the wider question, of course, to do with Israel and the Palestinian territories, the occupied territories, the country of Palestine. Rami Khouri, what's your reading of what we're seeing right now in occupied East Jerusalem?
What you're seeing right now is the logical culmination of a 100-year battle between Arabism and Zionism. The creation of the State of Israel is a process that is heroic for the Jewish and Israeli people, but a calamity for the Palestinian people, because the State of Israel was created on Palestinian land, and the aim of Israel is a Jewish state. Zionism is a state for the Jewish people, and recently the Netanyahu government has been demanding that people recognize Israel as a Jewish state, not as a state of all its citizens. This is the logical culmination of that 100-year confrontation, where the land, the religious symbolism of the religious institutions there for the Muslims and for Jews and for Christians in other parts of the neighborhoods nearby. These are long-standing indigenous symbols, not only of religious piety, but of nationalistic solidarity, identity, belonging to the land, and everything else you can think of that makes a human being a human being. And you have this clash now going on in this one little area on what the Jews call the Temple Mount, what we call the Holy Sanctuary, the Haram Sharif. This is really as symbolic as it gets, where religious space, religious institutions have become political symbols. And for the Israelis, they're symbols of domination and Jewish supremacy in this area. For the Palestinians, they're symbols of resistance, solidarity, identity, and our long-term belonging in this land. The obvious answer to this is to share the land in two states, an Israeli state and a Palestinian state, with the holy sites open to everybody. That's the Palestinian proposal that's been on the table and pretty much the international consensus. The Israelis are saying this is Jewish, we control it, we set the rules. The Palestinians can be guest workers, day workers, laborers, tourists, but they don't have sovereign rights. Only the Israeli Jewish Zionist people have sovereign rights. And therefore, what you see in front of you is the logical conclusion of this struggle. And it's been now really concentrated not just on Jerusalem, but on this holy area in Jerusalem, where Palestinians in their tens of thousands will come and protect it, as they did last year in the summer when we had a similar situation. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians came and prayed in the streets, and they may do so again now. And keep in mind also that it was in September of 2000, I think, that Ariel Sharon went up to this same esplanade in this area with a couple of hundred Israeli policemen, and that sparked the Second Intifada, which was one of the greatest confrontations in modern times between Palestinian Arab nationalism and Jewish Zionism. So we should not be surprised that this is going on. What is surprising is that there is not a serious political process to resolve this in a way that is fair to both people.
Okay, I mean, clearly the dynamic for the Israelis and specifically for Mr. Netanyahu is the election. And I know that you have a very clear idea yourself on the election as it will be. It will become the right wing taking on the further right wing. So that's the dynamic for you, for the Israelis. What's the dynamic for the Palestinians? Because when you talk about the manifestation of the symbolism, what we're seeing here, it seems to me it's politics manifesting itself under the cover of or through the vessel of religion, because we've got the Hajj going on just now in Mecca. We've got 2 million people there who do not want to mix religion and politics. The reality is what's going on right now in occupied East Jerusalem is a heady mix, a potentially combustible mix of politics and religion. And whether they like it or not, those two things are very much mixed together right now in real time, this hour, in occupied East Jerusalem.
They are, and they're universal. You know, the American civil rights movement was really fought in the black churches of the South. The African liberation struggle and apartheid was heavily anchored in the churches of South Africa. Religion and politics are two sides of a similar human dynamic, which tells us that there is a deity that loves us, that promises justice, a normal, decent life of dignity for everybody on equal terms. When that is not given to people because of oppression, as happened with American blacks, South African blacks, or Palestinians today under Israel, when you don't have political and civil and economic rights, you cannot live a normal human life. Religion is your last resort. And
another measles death in Israel as the worst outbreak in decades continues to claim lives in Israel, in America, and around the world. An El Al flight attendant who was hospitalized in April after catching measles while working a flight between New York and Israel has died. Her name is Rotam Amitai. She was 43 years old, a mother of 3, and she was vaccinated against the measles, but we've learned she had only been vaccinated with 1 shot instead of the recommended 2 inoculations for her age group. She is the 3rd Israeli fatality from this outbreak. An 18-month-old toddler and an 82-year-old woman died last year. I-24 News correspondent Erica Jackson is at the check-in counter at Ben Gurion Airport, where another flight between Israel and New York is about to take off.
We're here at Ben Gurion Airport in Israel, where people today are boarding El Al flights to New York. This comes after Rotem Amitai, who was a flight attendant for El Al, died just this week after contracting measles. She reportedly caught the disease while on the flight from New York to Israel. We spoke to people on the ground at the airport about the issue. Let's take a listen to what they had to say.
I'm not nervous personally because I'm immunized, as well as all of the kids that are with me. I do think it's a big problem that people don't get immunized. I have a big problem with that, both in terms of Jewish law and in terms of just general health.
So I'm vaccinated for measles, so I'm not scared. And New York actually recently passed a law that there's no more religious exemptions for the measles vaccine or any vaccines in general. So I feel pretty comfortable going on this flight knowing I'm properly vaccinated. I would say to everyone out there, get your kids vaccinated.
Absolutely, there's a concern. I wouldn't say we're scared because we're Israelis. So, I have a full trust with Allah and the state of Israel that they'll take care of the issue. We're nervous, absolutely, but I think it's going to be okay.
Both Israel and the United States recently experiencing outbreaks of the measles virus, with El Al saying that once the case became known, it worked to vaccinate all its air crews. Reporting from Tel Aviv, Erica Jackson, I-24 News.
Let's go live now to Jerusalem, where I'm joined by Dr. Ian Miskin, an infectious disease consultant. Dr. Israel has seen a massive spike in measles just within the last 12 months. 1,300 cases so far. People have died. People are sick. People are in the hospital. What is the situation like right now? Is this outbreak still going on?
Hi, good afternoon. Let's get a few corrections. Not 1,500, but about 45,000 people have been registered. 4,500 people have been registered as suffering from measles, which we reckon that there's probably an under-reporting. So it's probably 30 or 40,000 people actually caught measles. And we're at the very end of this measles epidemic. We see, in Jerusalem, we saw most of the cases, over half of the cases were reported from Jerusalem.